Just give us a little background on Hugh Finkelstein.
Well, I'm a husband. I'm married to my wife, Ginger. She's a lawyer in Lone Oak. I'm a father. I've got two children. Will is 25, Cassie is 26, and one grandson. Elias is almost 4 months old.
All right, so still fresh on that one.
Oh yeah. He's awesome. We spend some time together. I think he's getting to know who I am, so that's a good thing.
Right on. I guess as best you can, because I know these judicial races are a little different. You can't necessarily have platforms per se, but what is it you want to kind of bring to the bench?
Well, I want to bring to the bench my experience as a judge. In my race, I'm the only candidate who's actually been a judge. For almost 2 years, I was Little Rock District Judge. I served mostly criminal cases, but also part of the docket is that 2 days a month, we go to circuit court and hear the same kind of cases that would be heard in Second Division Circuit Court coming in 2021. So for both of the years that I was district judge, the Pulaski County Bar voted me District Judge of the Year. And that's a pretty good honor for the people that are appearing in front of you, trying cases in front of you, and getting to see day in and day out what I do and how I conduct business.
Division 2 is going to be juvenile court, is that right?
No, it'll be probate and domestic.
That's right, okay.
Currently it's criminal and civil,
Okay.
but it's kind of interesting that you would think that there's either criminal or there's civil, but there's criminal, there's civil, then there's domestic, probate, and juvenile. And all those are separate. So civil doesn't necessarily mean domestic and probate.
Right. What are some of the changes that you want to bring? And again, I know you guys are kind of limited in just in that position, but you know everybody kind of seems to have their own little nuances and ideas that they want to bring to the position.
Right. Well, some of the things that we need to work on are getting these cases resolved in a more timely manner, especially when you're talking about kids and in domestic cases. Being in limbo and not having finality and an order where everybody knows what their responsibilities and obligations are, not having an order that kids can know is in existence, it takes too long, and it's not good for the family. So what we need to do is find better ways to resolve these cases quickly. Not saying that we have to do it without due process. I'm saying that when you have to wait over a year for resolution, it puts a lot of stress on the family, a lot of stress on the kids, and I'd like to be able to set the docket up in a more timely manner so that we can do these cases in a way that is less stressful for everybody.
And I guess to just lay people outside of the law world, I guess kind of what does that look like, just setting the docket up? Because you're not the only one that said that. It kind of seems to be a focus.
Right. What we need to do is be able to have people, and it's going to be the lawyers, have the lawyers stick to whatever the time limit is that they're asking for, and then working 5 days a week. And that's, you know, I've been working since I was 15, since my brother could drive me to work. You know, I've put in full days. I haven't had jobs where I can just show up and not do anything. And I'm responsible for what I do, and I'm going to work. I work hard for the state already. I'm going to continue to work hard for the people of this county and Perry County.
Right on. Something I've kind of noticed, anyways, is there's I guess a level of empathy and compassion that is starting to kind of creep into the court system. And creep's not the best way to put it, but it's becoming more of a focal point to kind of have that. And kind of across the board here, have you noticed that?
So we've been dealing with trying to be more compassionate on a lot of ends because, quite frankly, you know, the prisons are full. So when we in criminal law, at least, you want to look at keeping violent offenders in prison and nonviolent offenders having alternatives to incarceration. And our drug court's been in existence for a long time. When it was first set up, I was part of the organization to help kind of set up how it would run. And you know, we've been funneling cases to them. I mean, when I was district judge, one of the things that we saw a need for was mental health. We kept seeing people coming in who had mental illnesses, but they were still not insane under the law. So incarceration doesn't help. Fining them, probation, all those things weren't being effective. So what we set up was a mental health diversion, getting these people into a treatment for 6 months or longer, and then if they comply with that, then their case would be dismissed. And it's a way to get them on a regimen to get them in that taking that positive step and keep moving. And that's one of the things we saw a need for it, and I organized it, got all the participants that were going to be involved together and created this system. And it started probably a month or so after I left court.
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, judicial races aren't really something people keep up with.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, some of it's just by nature. It just sort of is what it is. Why do you think that people really aren't as invested in these type of elections as they should be?
Well, there's low voter turnout regardless for presidential elections. And then when you get down ballot, where we are as judges, they come, they vote, and sometimes they'll vote if they don't know. Sometimes if they don't know the people, they're not going to vote. So you're going to have less of a turnout. It's really sad because chances are that most people in their lives are going to have very little interaction with the president. But local judges, they're going to have some interaction with, whether they're a litigant, a witness, a juror. There's more chance that you're going to see a local judge than you would the President of the United States. But I wish we could do more. Part of the problem is, and it's not a problem, it's just ethically we can't say how we feel about certain issues. Because if we do, then we've already expressed an opinion. We would have to recuse from that.
What do you think the bench's role should be in terms of just being out in the communities, kind of putting a face to the title, and then also to, I guess, sort of, kind of be sort of a civics educator on top of that?
Well, I don't really think that judges have any more obligation than anybody else. I mean, I've been a lawyer for 28 years. I've been in the community. I've been involved. I volunteer for many different organizations. I think everybody needs to do that. It shouldn't just be, well, now that you're a judge, you should do these things. I mean, I think we all have an obligation to get in our communities and get involved in helping other people and just being a representative and living a life of service. Most of my career has been in public service, and that's why I want to continue to serve the public as a judge.
I am just an everyday voter. I'm one of these guys that hasn't kept up with this race. Sell me on Hugh Finkelstein.
Well, when you vote for me, what you're getting is experience. You're getting someone who's actually sat as a judge. And I can tell you, having been a judge, that it's very difficult to sit and listen to the evidence and make a decision based on the facts and the law. Being a lawyer isn't easy. But arguing one side of a case, being an advocate for one side, you don't have to make those decisions. It's much more, it's more difficult to have to make those decisions. I've done it. I've managed a docket, and probably one of the largest district court dockets in the county. We let everybody gets their day in court. Even if people disagreed with my decision, they were still heard. They were still respected, and they were still treated with courtesy, because that's part of what we do. I have a proven track record of being fair and impartial. If you look at the people that support me, I have almost 700 attorneys that have signed on that said they know me, they trust me, and they've worked either with me, against me, or they've tried cases in front of me. And that's an honor for me that I have that support. I've got support from retired judges and former judges that have tried cases in front of me when I was a judge, or I tried cases in front of them. It's not as easy as it looks to be a judge. And I think when you go to vote, you look at who brings these things to the table. I mean, I've practiced my 28 years in a variety of fashions. I've represented civil litigants as plaintiffs and defendants. I've represented criminal defendants. I've represented the state. and then I've served as a judge. I've also, one of the things that sets me aside is not only have I argued these cases, but these kinds of cases I've been a litigant in these cases. When in 2008, my wife passed away very suddenly, and I had to go to court to get a guardianship over her daughter. And it was a daughter from a prior marriage. And when I talked about my kids, she's my daughter. I mean, she's not my daughter by blood, but she and I, we have a father-daughter relationship. And I know what it's like to be on the other side of the table. I know what it's like to not be able to argue, to have to sit there and listen, and to hope and to pray and that the judge just makes the right decision. And that gives me a little different perspective than everybody else. So having judicial experience, litigation experience, I've represented everyday people. From the time I graduated law school until now, I've been their voice in court for people who haven't had voices. I've tried every kind of case conceivable, and one of the things is that I go to court almost every day. It's not like I get to court every once in a while. My jobs have been in the courtroom, and that's what this is. This is a trial judge, and you want people who have tried a lot of cases. I can't even tell you how many jury trials I've had. It's been hundreds, thousands of bench trials. I can't even count the number of hearings before those trials. Right. But in my 28 years, I bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, and compassion.